My name's Adam Barber. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Tennessee. We're starting to thaw out a little bit after the snowstorm and ice and everything we've had for about the last week or so. I want to take just a couple of minutes this morning to talk to you about surrender. You know, if you've been to a lot of recovery meetings like I have, you've heard the topic of surrender spoken about at length. And no one likes to admit defeat. No one likes to admit that what they're doing in life is not working out for them, and that it's not going to take them to where they want to go. So it's an uncomfortable topic, and especially when you're new in recovery and you start going to meetings and people want to talk about surrender or gratitude or something like that, you just kind of roll your eyes and think, "Oh man, I wish I didn't have to be here." But it's an important topic. You know, I used to watch a lot of movies, especially action movies, spy movies, things like that. And I would always remember these generals and these people that were in the military when they were facing an enemy. And I would remember them saying, "The United States doesn't negotiate with terrorists." You know, it sounds very cool. But you know what? Neither does God. And that's why so often when we say that we have surrendered to God, we surrendered our will or something like that, and then things continue to go poorly, go very badly in our lives, and when we go back to the things that we were doing, it's because we're trying to set those terms of our surrender with God. But God doesn't negotiate those terms with us. He doesn't ask us what we are willing to do or what set of criteria that He has for us. The terms of surrender with God is to simply believe Him. To believe that He has done everything necessary for our salvation, that He has provided His Son, Jesus Christ, as a substitute for our sins. He has given us everything that we need. There is nothing that we can add to that. There's nothing that we can improve upon with that. And that's precisely why most of us don't want to do it. We don't want to take that step and just, throw up our hands and say, I can't do this, God, I believe you, and I'm going to take you at your word. Because when we do that, it takes us out of the equation. There's nothing else that we can point to in our life and say, "See what I did? You see what I've accomplished? You see what I'm bringing to the table here?" We don't bring anything. The only thing that we add to or bring to our salvation is the sin that made it necessary. We don't do anything that merits us or gives us a right to be saved or to be delivered from this present evil world, from the sins that beset us, that we have chosen to do ourselves and walked into. But we can believe God, and when we believe God, our lives change. They may not change immediately. All the circumstances of our lives are often still there, but they do start to resolve. And I would like to say that, hey, if you get saved right now today, that everything's going to be better. It's like a country music song, only backwards, where your wife's going to come back, you're going to get your job back, you're going to get your kids back. But those things may not happen. I'm just going to be honest. Those things may not happen. There are some bridges that have been burned that they will stay burned and they will never be rebuilt. But your life, just like my life was, can be changed now and for eternity by simply believing that God has done everything necessary for you to be saved in His Son, Jesus Christ. He was crucified, killed, put to death, bearing the penalty of our sins, and then was raised from the dead. And that's it. That's all that there is to it. It is so simple that a child could do it. Maybe that's why He said that that we're to have a childlike faith. But if you want to fact check me on some of those things, go to the book of 1 Corinthians. You can look at chapter 15, where it's talking a lot about resurrection and kind of gives a real short synopsis of the gospel. You can read, of course, Romans and start at 3 and 4, and it talks about in there as well that there's another individual many of us have heard of before, Abraham. And what did Abraham do? Oh, well, he went over here and he was going to sacrifice it. He did all these other things. But it says that Abraham believed God and it was counted to him for righteousness. And that's all that you have to do. That's all that I had to do. And that's all that anyone else is ever going to have to do. So be blessed. Have a good day. Enjoy what's left of our snow.